Hi there guys, it's me again, Ryan Jason. In this video I'm just going to talk about something someone actually mentioned underneath one of my videos, one of my previous videos where I talk about how to contact me on Facebook. And she mentioned how it is that she should talk to skeptics. This has come a lot, this comes across in everyone's life, especially if you're living a life where you're resolving your past issues, where you're seeing how your negative attitude throughout your life when you was unconscious has actually hindered your happiness when it comes to your experiences within life. And when everyone starts learning this ascension process, this awakening of self-awareness when it comes to your own experiences, when it comes to your mentality and all your belief systems, we just want to share it to everyone. We want to have everybody really becoming masters of their own minds and being craftsmen of their own state of consciousness, just for the plain reason for them to be able to better reflect a reality based upon their reflection of their own ego or their own personality in order to create the lifestyle that they actually deserve, rather than creating a self-destructive lifestyle built upon unconscious behaviors or unconscious habits. So, where shall I start with this one? Well, first off, I'm going to tell you where I used to go wrong when I used to communicate to people. I'm going to tell you the two things that you shouldn't do when it comes to talking to somebody, okay? My brother was talking about weightlifting, right? He was in my kitchen and he was talking about weights. Now, he was talking about other brothers. There was about 3 people in the room, but I didn't find anything he had to say interesting, okay? Now, he kept talking to me over and over and over again about this topic, which I just didn't find interesting, because at that specific time, I was tuned into a frequency where I only found certain things interesting. I didn't find it interesting because I wasn't living a lifestyle where I was working out. I'm not the type of person who works out anymore. You know, I used to, but that's stopped. And so I didn't listen. I didn't listen because it wasn't on my wavelength. I didn't listen because I didn't find that the information he was giving out was necessary for my present experience, my present, what I needed to learn, you know? So I blanked him. I blanked him not because I was being, you know, an ass. I blanked him because I couldn't hold my attention on him, because what he was saying didn't relate to me. That's the truth, you know? And it wasn't until I actually looked at myself that I realized how it was that my behavior then could also be switched vice versa. I could be giving people information which they don't want to know because it's not in their best interests at that particular time. From then, what I ended up doing was I would see somebody talking about a situation that I knew something about, okay? Even if they were talking about the negative aspects of the situation that I knew something about, as long as I have the positive experience, it's like an extra piece of the puzzle, okay? So when I would enter a room, there would be like 4 or 5 people, they'd be talking about something very, very... Let's done it again. I forgot to hit play on the audio. They'll be talking about something very, very, very unique to their own experience, right? And I would come in, and then they would automatically start talking to me about it. Now, this is good because now I know how to approach the situation from my last observation of my previous experience when I was in that unconscious state where I wasn't aware of how I was behaving or how it was that the other people around me was behaving when it came to them demonstrating their message, their truth about their own experiences, right? So what I said was, okay, I started talking about gym also. And then I started saying about diet, started getting into diet, I started bouncing back, I started giving them time to talk. And then I started telling them my progression when it came to my consciousness and how I had to change my mentality in order to reach new levels of exercise regimes, or how I needed to change my diet in order to get better results. And I also started bouncing off another person, which was my twin brother, who also was doing it, because he understood the consciousness aspect of it, because we've had this previous conversation in the past. However, my third brother, the guy who started the conversation, didn't. So rather than me talking to him about consciousness and the body and how the attitude towards weightlifting or exercise actually increases your achievements when it comes to how to look good, but my twin brother had that part of the puzzle. So I bounced off of him, and because it's like third party now, because I'm talking to someone else and not directly at them, they actually start thinking, you know what, maybe my consciousness does need to change in order for me to have a different outlook on how to eat things, okay? So maybe I need to look at how my belief system is structured to how I believe or think, due to lack of knowledge, when it comes to what protein actually is, which is actually 27 amino acids, which are built up between particular types of food groups. Okay, a lot of people don't know what protein is, but that's what it is. Okay, look it up. It's very cool. It's pretty cool. But when I started getting into that conversation with my twin brother, and my brother that was next to me, who only thought that protein was in meat, and that gave him that excuse to eat tons of meat, because otherwise he was in the fear-based mentality that if he didn't eat the meat, he wouldn't have the protein. He actually started thinking, you know what, they could be right. They could be onto something. And now what you're having is a situation steered by me, came in on their level, and I've turned it around, and I've made it so that they can actually benefit from my own experiences. Okay, this is how you talk to skeptics, because he would have been a hardcore skeptic if I said you need to be vegan because of this, because meat does this too, because meat does that, meat is bad, all this stuff. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat meat. What I'm just saying is you need to understand what it is you're putting into your body. Okay, he would have been a hardcore skeptic in people just eating a plant-based raw diet. He would have been a hardcore skeptic if I plowed in with that information straight from the beginning. Okay, he would have been a hardcore skeptic if he was reading a book looking at furniture and I came in with this information completely irrelevant towards his own experience at that present moment. You know, see what I mean? So that's one way of steering a conversation. Okay, that's one way of talking to somebody who would have been a skeptic. Okay, to steer the conversation in that particular realm of thought. There are other ways of doing it. Okay, say Lucy's come out recently, the film Lucy. Say you put that on to watch, and then people in your household who aren't into consciousness come into your room and sit down and they start watching it, and they watch the entire thing. Okay, keep feeding them things like that. Watch The Matrix after, if you like. You know, get them thinking about the probability, the possibilities. Let the TV do it for you, and then when that conversation arises, bring in your own experiences. Okay, bring in first on their end the possibility and the potential. Then bring in your experiences when it comes to manipulating your consciousness and your beliefs. And then get into dreams. Everyone loves to talk about dreams, you know. And then get into what it would be like to control your dreams. Get into lucid dreaming. Then get into astral projection. Okay, then get into your past experiences when you were a child. Because everyone, when they've been a child, has experienced some sort of supernatural activity. Everyone has. And then they'll bring it out in them, okay? And then what's going to happen is you're going to end up educating them in an indirective manner about astral projection, lucid dreaming, and you're going to open their awareness to it. That is really a beautifully unique way of getting people in your household into this kind of thing, especially if you were just to come at them without them doing this, you know. Maybe they've just built something outside, like a ladder, or they've built a shelving unit, or they've come from a nightclub where they've talked about a situation or an experience completely different, so this kind of astral projection kind of thing, and then they've come into your house, and you've just come downstairs, you said, guess what I've just done? I've just popped in my body, flew through to Mars, you know, I walked on the surface of the sun. You said stuff like that, they'll just be like, what? But when you break it down the way I've said, that's how you talk to a possible skeptic. Now, that's one kind of skeptic, one class of skeptic. The next class of skeptic is a self-defeating skeptic. They don't believe in the things you're saying because the things that you're saying is a threat to their own belief system. And their belief system is built up upon a particular way of thinking which keeps them in the moment thinking that they know what they need to know at that present moment, if you know what I mean. So, okay, an example of this classic self-defeating skeptic, and I get this a lot on my comments, and if you're going to watch this, guys, if you are one of these people who've just found my videos by accident, and maybe before you found my videos by accident you were doing something completely different, so you're not aware of the possibility of this stuff that I'm saying being true or whatnot, and you're getting ready to just throw abuse at my comments, listen to what I have to say now, because this is probably going to relate to you, okay? The classic hardcore skeptic probably doesn't understand the fact that he is the soul having a human experience. The hardcore classic skeptic probably doesn't understand about consciousness and life after death, stuff like this, simply because he hasn't or she hasn't experienced enough backing in order to prove evidence, right? That's what they need. They need evidence. Evidence comes from your own experience. That's something I know of, because that's all I live off of. It's my own experience. I don't live off of Chinese whispers. If I was born without spiritual knowledge, backing, without spiritual experiences, I would be a skeptic. Not a hardcore skeptic, but I would be a skeptic. You know, I wouldn't believe everything straight away. I'd look at it as an example for my awareness, for me to actually look into it more, to see if there's a possibility of me experiencing the things that people are saying. I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I wouldn't say it was true neither, not straight off the bat. Now, the classic hardcore skeptic, okay, say for example, let's do a bit of role play here. Say if you're the audience and you're watching me and I'm in the play, right? Now say if my name's Timmy, Timmy. Say if me, Timmy, probably doesn't suit the way I look. Timmy sounds like I'm from England though, so I'm from England, so Timmy's kind of English name. Say if me, Timmy, was growing up and I was a child, I was 6 years old and I was looking at my father and I love that guy, you know. And I was looking at him and I was in admiration, I was in awe at how his scientific development, how his theories of logic, of the left brain thinking gave solutions and practical solutions to people's lives and made them better, right? And I just admired the way how he was so right and correct all the time, so scientific in his facts, you know. And then all of a sudden, my mum and my dad get in a fight. And then all of a sudden, they break up and I just don't see him anymore, you know. Soon as they get into an argument, they get very violent. And then a day on the couch turns into a month on the couch. Next thing I know, so I don't see my dad anymore. He's leaving the house. Okay. He then comes back once a week. He then comes back once a month. I see him once a year. I don't see him 6 to 10 years at a time. Timmy is going to feel pain. He's going to feel hurt. He's going to feel loss. Okay. However, because I've had that experience, a scientific background, Timmy's had that experience. Okay. The way I look at life now is going to be completely scientific. You know, completely scientific. I would reject anything that threatened my admiration, my outlook, my view on my father. I would reject it. And the thing is if I lived in this way from that childhood all the way to like 40 to 30 or maybe even 20 years old, I could even forget the memories. But because the energy, that imprint is still there, I'm still going to be behaving off of it. It doesn't go away. It's a type of consciousness or thinking which is like a residual thinking pattern which stays stuck in your body, which keeps changing the way that you behave or think or the way you look at and outlook at life. Okay? So I could be completely unconscious of what's happening because I'm not putting my attention on it, but I'd still be thinking in that way. So which would mean that me, Timmy, let's say for the sake of this example, would look at everything scientifically and I would refuse anything else that threatened my belief system of my father, of how perfect of an image he is, okay? Now, if I was going to get into a conversation with somebody, okay, backing my claims for scientific proof, for scientific statements and facts, pain would come along with that. I'd get angry and frustrated and sad at the fact that somebody who's trying to give me the information is threatening my belief system of my father, you know. I wouldn't be conscious of that, no. But pain would come up, anger would come up, frustration, all these childhood emotions would come up, you know, in defending your right for your truth. You know what I mean? So you can see how hardcore skeptics, why they blow fuses so quickly. I'm not saying this particular example is for everyone. There are many, many, many belief systems that go down from childhood issues to certain experiences within a person's individual life, which build up these belief systems which stop them from opening their awareness to the possibility that their belief system may be flawed. That the way that they were behaving due to a lack of knowledge and the conclusions that they came up with due to a lack of knowledge was or could have been wrong. You know, and that's fine to know that. I've known that. I've known from my last previous experiences and my belief system built up upon those experiences that due to my lack of knowledge, I didn't know everything at that time, so I did end up making belief systems which were detrimental to my experiences, especially when it came to astral projection and what it was that I encountered in the astral realms. Okay. The only way to talk to these skeptics is not to talk to him at all. That's the hard truth. These hard skeptics, you can talk to the other ones. They're easy to bring about change. They got potential. These hard skeptics, though, they need to go into counseling. They need some sort of manipulation when it comes to them being aware of their faults to a T. Okay? They need to learn how to go within their own consciousness and face their demons, literally. They need to see their past experiences. They need to recognize their mental state at that time and see and be aware to the fact that the way that they were thinking was causing a ripple effect throughout their own judgments throughout the rest of their lifespan, which are changing the way that they see the world and changing the way or changing the outcomes that are taking place within their own experiences. Only when that hardcore skeptic becomes a master of himself and his own consciousness will he then start to see that reflecting out into other people. Then he'll see, or he or she will see, how it is that these people are operating and how it is that they can speak or say certain things in order to make that person understand their perspective. Because now they've been in their shoes. They know how they're speaking. They know where they've been. So now they can relate to that person in a particular way and they can talk to them on their level. Hardcore skeptics need more time. Hardcore skeptics aren't going to be so quick to jump to things that are threatening their belief systems or their views and opinions of memories within their past experiences. They're not going to be too quick because when it comes to the ego is a personality construct built upon experiences. And it's the ego that reflects the third dimensional experience, which then, if you alter the ego, then by default, the experience changes, right? The ego thinks that if it's threatened, the ego will die. That's what it thinks. That's what it believes, you know? And I can see how that is probable for it to believe that. Just because it's probable for it to believe that doesn't mean that's going to happen. Because what actually happens, and what happened to me, is that my ego actually, once it got the understanding of that, which I taught my own ego, I actually teach my own ego through the soul. So I operate as soul now. It's brilliant to do because you can see how things are put together. But because I operate from soul, and I taught my ego what actually happens to the energy let go of itself. That aspect of consciousness which detached from my own consciousness, which was interfering with the way I was thinking, understood what I was saying and it dissolved. And what happens is it doesn't die, it just simply jumps ship. It moves to another host body, it moves to another state of being, another person or individual who's ready to take on that consciousness. The energy goes up into the ethers or the ethernets, where it's then transmitted and received by somebody else who's ready for that belief system, okay? Who's willing to accept that belief system, okay? That pattern of thinking which will make their results or which will make their experience a lot more different, which may hinder their progression to self-development in life or which may make it better. So I'm Ryan JC. I think this is going to about do it when it comes to how to talk to skeptics, you know. You just got to be experienced. You got to be experienced. You got to be skilled. Because you may be having these intense urges to speak your truth, to speak your experiences when it comes to what you're able to do, such as astral projection or clairvoyance or telepathy, stuff like this, which takes an open mind to think about or to at least ponder the explanation about how it is that you could go to do such things in your own experience, how it is that you're able to actually experience these things. But the people giving out this information, just because you've got natural talent to do these things, doesn't mean you've got the skill. And that's probably why you're actually watching this video, in order to gain the skill, in order to teach this stuff. The skill is what carries your talent, okay? You're going to be fundamentally flawed in how it is that you're going to display your artistry or display your talents if you haven't got skill, if you haven't got skill backing your techniques, backing your artistry, backing the way that you communicate your experiences. This takes time. This takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of self-reflection. It takes a lot of observation of your own ego. It takes you tapping into your soul and observing your character, I actually talk about how to do that in one of my videos, which should be uploading soon. This computer's taking forever. It took me a day and a half to upload a video, and after it got uploaded, it got banned from YouTube because I used one clip of The Matrix. You know what I mean? It's terrible. I used one clip of Lucy in my first video. That got banned as well. So you need to be able to observe ego structures, personality structures, and really get into the psychology of why it is that people are behaving a certain way. And you will only know how to do this first by looking at yourself. As soon as you go deep within yourself and your own experiences and how it is that your ego is changing, and you do this by you just view yourself. You view your personality, you literally watch your entire lifestyle, and it becomes so clear and easy to see how you've turned out a specific way. Okay? Once you get so deep and you really do pick apart the music headphones, if you know what I mean, the wires, pick apart the ball of string, which is your ego, or the personality construct that your soul is using to reflect back an experience. What happens is, as soon as you look at somebody else, you automatically know what's going on with that person's head. You automatically know how it is that they're thinking. And you automatically know how it is that you can approach that person at their particular level in order to make sense or in order to make them progress in a particular area of their experience. So I'm Ryan JC. This is going to be about Do It for this particular video. I think I put everything in it, and I'm glad that it took less than an hour. So this is how to talk to skeptics, normal skeptics and hardcore skeptics, and I'll speak to you guys pretty soon.
There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. You know, if you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, you'll never be able to communicate with people, with your artistry, the way that you want.